Take a good look right there at that gate. Don't forget it, folks. That's Fort Knox, and you're fixing to find out.
Can't believe we got Keith out there picking up fawn food.
Let me tell you something. I picked up lots of pieces, but I had never picked up pieces of that before.
Keith Warren, I think he really, he's kind of an icon, just a great, great steward of land management and wildlife.
As a mother, you love your children, and your children can be raised here on the farm.
Come on, Mama.
You have your ups, you have your downs. You get out what you put in. Can't think of anything else in the whole world I'd rather do. That's just the way it is.
This program is dedicated to the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces. May God bless America. Today's Americans are more disconnected with nature than any time in history. This disconnect has led to a society that is unaware of the importance of conservation of our natural resources. Fortunately, there are modern-day heroes who are still in touch with nature, and they work to protect wildlife and wildlife habitat for future generations.
Well, we'd like to give you a job, Keith.
Those stories are told here on Keith Warren's Deer and Wildlife Stories. Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by the American Deer and Wildlife Alliance, Schrade Knives, New Dart, the North American Deer Farmers Association, DNA Solutions and North American Deer Registry, Record Rack, Whitetail Sales and Service, Bad Boy Mowers and Multi-Terrain Vehicles, New Supercharged Scent Killer by Wildlife Research Center, and the American Deer and Wildlife Alliance Foundation.
Take a good look right there at that gate and that sign, and don't forget it, folks, because in the deer farming business, that gate right there is like the gate to Fort Knox. What is behind there is very, very special. We're about an hour southeast of Columbus, Ohio, at Billy Sage's place, and outside of a little town called Logan. And I'm telling you, that's Fort Knox, and you're fixing to find out.
The first time we went to see the first deer farm, we were just mesmerized. You know, we just fell in love with it. In a nutshell, you don't preach it, you practice it. There's very few facets of farming where you can take as little as 10 or 15 acres and take your children, your wife, your family, make an honest living with some wonderful, wonderful animals, just beautiful animals.
This area right here is where the fawns are. And we're going to go in there and show you where the fawns are lucky enough to be raised, and we're going to get their mama to come in here with us so they come up and behave themselves. Come on, Mama.
This area is where they spend about the first month of their life.
Boy, they got it made. Look at this. And these little guillotine doors right here?
The guillotine doors is for when we're working the big deer during the breeding season.
These are bottle-raised babies. They've been pulled off their mamas. These are little doe fawns. They don't do that with buck fawns. They want to do it with doe fawns because they're going to artificially inseminate the doe fawns, and the less stress, the more likely they are to have a successful breeding. And so they bottle raise these, and the buck fawns stay in their mamas. This area right here, they're perfectly safe. I mean, nothing can get to them in here. No predators at all.
The death rate in the wild is brutal. You lose a lot of fawns in the wild. In this situation, well, they just have a leisurely life. Twice a day, we basically pick up any droppings. We have a high pressure hose. After we do that, we wash the whole lot down. We have hand sanitizers on the walls. We just try to keep them an extremely clean environment.
I've heard people make many comments before. Hunters will say, well, I saw a dry doe.
Right.
I tell you something, there virtually is no such thing as a dry doe.
No, this is our 16th year in raising whitetail. And on our farm personally, we've had one female in the 16 years dry.
Virtually no such thing as a dry doe.
Yeah, that's almost impossible. We see these animals when they're born. We breed these deer to preserve the best genetics in whitetail deer in North America. They just receive the utmost care. We're very, very compassionate about these animals. And see this barn is tremendously insulated.
Yeah, I can just tell from the sound of it.
You have fully insulated. All these stalls are air conditioned. They're all heated. So if you have a deer with a respiratory problem, having trouble breathing, we can bring the deer in here, turn the AC on. He has the option, or she has the option, to go in or out.
Air conditioning for deer. What's going to happen, these deer are going to be brought up, they're brought up where they're calm. But every deer's got a different personality. And what's interesting is the deer farmer knows his deer. We pay attention to every moment of the deer's life. We watch them from the time they're born to the time that they die. And so we're keenly aware of their health issues. In the wild, you don't know what's going on in the wild. The research on deer is primarily being done, health research, in deer breeding facilities, because we can observe them on a daily basis, monitor what's going on health-wise. And so I think deer farmers get a bad rap because that's where all the disease is. No. That's where the research is being done. I noticed that a few droppings around here.
Yeah, Keith,
Yeah.
That's a job we figured we might let you take care of today.
Well, I know that there's lots of jobs to do on the farm. I know that. And when I go someplace, I ask to help and give me a job.
Well,
I've never had that job before.
Well,
that ain't gonna happen.
Well, we'd like to give you a job, Keith.
Well, let me tell you something. I picked up lots of pieces, but I had never picked up pieces of that before.
Coming up next on Deer and Wildlife Stories.
Just pinch it like that right there, and he said, just see if you can just pick up all these chocolate-covered raisins that you see.
You don't learn anything unless you go do it, so, I mean, hey, sometimes you have to shovel crap.
We'll be right back.
An interesting thing about deer farming is what works on one deer farm can work on all deer farms, but not necessarily has to be done on all deer farms. And health is the #1 primary concern, I guess, of any deer farmer.
Absolutely.
And this right here, see, I don't do this on my place. I don't have the same problem with insects that y'all have up here, being from down there. Now, I very well may at some point and need to get a system like this, but tell everybody what this is.
Well, basically, this is a fogger that we use to. It's a premise spray. It can be sprayed directly. The chemicals we use can be sprayed directly on the animals. Has no adverse effects to the animals, rabbits, birds, or anything else. It's basically all natural ingredients. But it just keeps the pest away, the flies, the insects, mosquitoes, and just gives our animals a better life.
Well, think again, stress. We want to limit stress on the animals, and the more flies, the more mosquitoes. You know, when you're like this and the mosquitoes, it stresses you out. It stresses deer out. And so this right here is kind of a de-stressing tool.
Absolutely. Keith, I need you to let Jerry take that over, and I need you to come with me. I've got a little something I need you to do. Keith, if you want to come on around, well, Mitzi's already started, but it looks like she needs a little help. Just pinch it like that right there, and he said, just see if you can just pick up all these chocolate-covered raisins that you see.
I don't know if this will even fit in my hand or not.
Well, just kind of go for the big ones, and she can wash the little ones down.
Whoo, that's a Boone and Crockett there.
Yeah, you're going to make a deer farmer yet.
Mitzi had to do, but they said they had to do something really important.
Well, we better get through eating these daggum moon pies and candy bars. I can't believe we got Keith out there picking up fawn poop. I'd have never believed I could have tricked him into doing that mess.
You don't learn anything unless you go do it, so, I mean, hey, sometimes you have to shovel crap. That's okay. I mean, it's true.
Basically, we started about probably 16 years ago. We just wanted some pets. Just really loved the animals, and we just decided to get a few deer, and it just kind of snowballed from there. You have your ups, you have your downs. You get out what you put in. Can't think of anything else in the whole world I'd rather do.
If you'd have told me in high school that I was going to be a deer farmer, I would never believed it. And sometimes it's too good to really believe now that we are deer farmers. In order to become a deer breeder, the deer have to come first. We may not get lunch, we may not get supper, but the deer are always fed, the deer are always tended to. You always do what you can, whatever is the best for the animal, that's what you do. I think Keith is a great guy. He's a down-to-earth person. It has been a pleasure getting to meet him, be around him, and I think he's you know, a special person for our industry to have.
Keith Warren, I think he really, he's kind of an icon, just a great steward of land management and wildlife.
He beholds Keith Warren. He's a fishing expert, hunting expert. So please, if you have a chance, step on back into our lodge and say hi to Keith and listen to a good seminar. Thank you.
He stepped out of the box to help what I think is a tremendous industry in their efforts, again, to preserve a family farm and a way of life. And we just appreciate that everything that Keith Warren has done for our industry, and we're going to continue to support him as I hope he will support us. He really impressed me today. I give him a job, and I really didn't think he was going to bite on it, but that old Texas boy got in there and got right in the middle of it.
That bucket, when I was a little boy running around in the yard and I had to do the same thing, my daddy called that the honey bucket.
That's just the way it is.
Coming up next on Deer and Wildlife Stories.
I wonder what the story is about this place.
We try to have something for everyone. So we have the playgrounds for the kids, we have a miniature golf course, petting zoo with the deer.
If you would like information on becoming a deer breeder, the North American Deer Farmers Association can help. Log on today. We'll be right back.
Every now and then on the road, we wind up running into a real nice place that we just have to tell you about. And here in Chambersburg, we found one.
Hello,
Hi there.
how are you?
I am really tired. You know who Glenn Dice is?
Yes, I do.
He's been working me like a dog up there. I've been on the tractor all day. I need ice cream, really.
Okay, and what would you like?
Chocolate, please. Just one scoop of chocolate. I wonder what the story is about this place.
Well, we like to consider it a family gathering place. We try to have something for everyone. So we have the playgrounds for the kids, we have a miniature golf course, petting zoo with the deer, video archery, range, arcade, a little bit of, try to have something for everyone.
Mike is the owner here, and CR Bucks, well, they have deer here.
The deer, we figure there's over 1 million hunters in Pennsylvania, and I've been a hunter all my life, and my background's always been in the food business, so we tried to combine the two. I said, it just makes it that much easier to come to work every morning having the deer, and we just think it's a draw for the Pennsylvania public.
So they'll come up here if we leave
do.
out of here?
They come up on a regular basis. We feed them twice a day.
That's just, you buy it like that?
This is actually the same feed that Glenn feeds.
Okay.
I said it's a Harry Strolzer I guess, developed the feed, and Glenn and I kind of tweaked it to.
I'll tell you, up north, that's the one thing I'm noticing. Deer breeders up north wind up using a textured feed like this, where down in the south, we wind up using pelletized.
Oh, pelleted
feed.
fodder.
Yeah, we never do this, and I don't know why, we just don't.
We started out with a pelleted feed with our original deer, and then I said, when we brought other deer in that had been on the blended feed mix, I was having a hard time getting them to switch over. So we went to the blended feed.
I'm just curious, what do the customers think about this?
They think it's great. I said, what's neat about it with the deer is, especially through the summer and fall, the bucks keep growing, they keep coming back to see how they're progressing throughout the summer. And I said in the fall, you see these deer doing the same thing you just see the deer doing in the wild. So they come in, you can hear them grunt and snort, wheeze and interact. And it's just great. It's a great, we try to keep family oriented.
It's an educational facility. It really is. They can come and they can play.
Definitely.
The kids can be outside. I'm all about getting kids outside and playing.
Certainly.
Instead of doing this all the time. So they can come outside and play, but then all of a sudden they get to experience nature, real nature. Look at this. Come on. Yeah, I read the menu in there, and you weren't on it.
You wasn't on it.
This is pretty awesome. So if you're ever in the Chambersburg, Pennsylvania area, and you want to I'll tell you what, they got some good groceries here too, but you want to come just to a real good family place, CR Bucks is it.
Up next, a message from Keith.
For more than 230 years, Americans have enjoyed more rights than any other group on earth. We must stand together, united for all hunting.
We'll be right back. This week's viewer email is brought to you by Bad Boy Mowers and Multi-Terrain Vehicles.
William Turner is from Austin, Texas, and writes, I've never seen a deer the size of some of the deer that you feature on Deer and Wildlife Stories. Why is that? William, the reason why is because in the wild, when the deer have to compete against man, and they have to compete with the predators and all the different issues, weather and all the different issues, deer have a really hard time of making it. When they're in a nature agri-park, when a deer breeder has a deer breeder is able to control the nutrition, control the age, control the stress. He's able to control so many factors, and he's able to control the genetics. So what happens is deer breeders take the best genetics, and what we call, so they stack them, the best does with the best bucks, and that's going to produce good offspring. And then they take those offspring and stack it on top of other good offspring, and it keeps getting better and better and better. So if you want to see some of the big deer that you see on Deer and Wildlife Stories, call some of these deer breeders that we feature. They'd be happy to show them to you.
If you have a question for Keith, you can submit an email by logging on to keithwarren.net. Now a word from the American Deer and Wildlife Alliance in this week's conservation message.
For more than 230 years, Americans have enjoyed more rights than any other group on earth. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the right to property, and to keep and bear arms. Among those liberties have been the privilege to hunt, how and where we choose, as long as it was legal and ethical. These liberties have long been under assault. There are well-funded groups that want to end all hunting, and they work aggressively to legislate away our hunting traditions. But today, we've reached a new low. Recently, legislation has been introduced and referendum initiatives begun that would criminalize private hunting preserves from erecting high fences to protect property and animals. Unbelievably, these attacks against private property rights have come from hunters who simply don't like the way others hunt, and they partnered with radical activists that publicly advocate national bans on all hunting. Squabbling over petty personal preferences in how we hunt leaves the sport vulnerable to all new restrictions. In some cases, such as dove hunting in Michigan, entire forms of hunting have been banned. If you love to hunt, if you support habitat management and conservation, if you want to raise our kids to be true sportsmen, we must stand together united for all hunting. We must put aside our personal agendas and work together to preserve an American liberty, or we will lose that liberty altogether.
If you would like to know more about what the American Deer and Wildlife Alliance can do for the future of the outdoors, log on to deerwildlifealliance.org. If you would like more information on today's featured operation, log on to their website or give them a call. If you would like to know more about the show and Keith Warren, log on to keithwarren.net. If you would like information on becoming a deer breeder, the North American Deer Farmers Association can help. Log on today. Coming up next week on Deer and Wildlife Stories.
I'm in northeastern Ohio, and the owner, Pete Miller, has made me a heck of a deal on a tractor, and he's got some big deer too. You don't have to have a lot of fancy stuff to be a deer farmer, and this is living proof here. So this whole plant is run on nothing but hydraulics, no electricity. Wow.
This is what he's done for, I believe, 41 years.
My goodness. Me?
Yeah.
Let her rip. Entering the war zone. You've got all the food, all the water, no predators, and all the love that you can give them. It's pretty good compared to the wild.
For an interactive experience and to see last week's show in its entirety, visit our website.